So it's been a few hours since we made this video. The blockbuster Mikko Rantanen trade to Carolina video, the three-team trade involving three Cs, Carolina, Chicago, Colorado, wherein Marty Necas, Jack Drury, Taylor Hall, Mikko Rantanen all found themselves on new homes, a bunch of draft picks were exchanged, and a bunch of salary was retained. Now, in this trade video, we did say that we were going to need to make other videos about the situation, about the context, and about just some of the other tea leaves that were there throughout this trade day. Now, of course, I had plans yesterday, so I was not able to stick around at home all day to sit and make videos about everything, but now it's early Saturday morning, a few hours after I had gotten home, and we need to talk about how this trade actually may have almost happened with the Vancouver Canucks instead of Colorado. Now, if you didn't know, if you can see it by the thumbnail here, Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall were acquired by the Carolina Hurricanes. Marty Necas was sent over to Colorado. Let's go out there and read some tweets that revolve around the Canucks and how this trade was shaped around the Canucks too. Take a look at this over here. Elliotte Friedman said this after the trade was made. I believe it is fair to say this. The Hurricanes had a decision to make. What was available from Vancouver and going for Rantanen. They struck for Mikko Rantanen. Rick Dhaliwal also said this. The Vancouver Canucks asked about Marty Necas and JT Miller trade talks, but they were quickly told no. This is where we get into some of the extra ideas about the trade and Vancouver. Friedman on Sportsnet said the Carolina Hurricanes were working on separate deals with Vancouver, one for Miller and one for Pettersson, but they decided to go with the Rantanen package. My sense is, via Pierre LeBrun, Vancouver and Carolina got fairly close on a trade before the Hurricanes went the Colorado route. And this was also written about too on Sportsnet.ca. Take a look at this. Elliotte Friedman published this article after the trade went down. Why the Rantanen blockbuster trade happened right now. This is a pretty good explanation as to what happened in Colorado with Mikko Rantanen. The guy wanted to get paid. It was quite evident that the Avalanche might not be able to pay him as much as he wanted, and over the last month it became clear a Rantanen trade was a possibility. But I honestly thought they'd wait closer until the deadline to see if he relented to stay in Denver. Evidently not. They will look at what else is available. Brock Nelson makes a lot of sense, but there will be a lot of competition, and it's not like the Islanders are waving a white flag. Choice number 2. What path would Carolina take? The Carolina Hurricanes kept things pretty quiet, but it was known they had safari plans on for the big hunt. They discussed both JT Miller and Elias Pettersson with Vancouver in separate trades, not together. I believe Necas would have been involved in a Pettersson deal, but not a Miller one. Obviously, there are other moves they could have considered. And so, with this in mind, it seems like Carolina had two deals on the table with Vancouver, one for Miller, one for Petey. Maybe the Elias Pettersson one has Marty Necas attached to it. Maybe the JT Miller one has another name, like a Jesperi Kotkaniemi or something, right down the middle involved in it as well. I, for one, would have been quite upset if the Vancouver Canucks found a way to trade JT Miller for, let's say, Jesperi Kotkaniemi and a 4th or a 5th or something. Like, that kind of trade would have absolutely boggled my mind. I get that Miller's value is lower now compared to before, but yikes. Elias Pettersson, Marty Necas, okay, that kind of makes sense. I do think that Pettersson has a much higher ceiling than Necas does, but Necas, of course, did have himself a really good start to the year. His value is kind of perked up by October and November. Anyways, with all this conversation going on here, with Carolina apparently rejecting two trades with Vancouver for Miller or Pettersson, I wanted to dive into some of the discourse and social media conversation about Vancouver and how everything kind of works together when you think about whether or not the Canucks should have or could have actually traded one of these guys away to the Carolina Hurricanes. But Before we dive into it, let's go out there and take a look at this tweet by Jeff Patterson just to get the ball rolling. I mean, he said this: the Canucks didn't even play today, and they still found another way to lose. Of course, referring to the Mikko Rantanen trade and the fact that Carolina went with Mikko Rantanen over a Pettersson or a Miller. Let's dive into some of these other tweets over here. You wonder why this team has zero chemistry? DeBrusk, Pettersson, and Besser generated more than any line last game. Tocchet took Besser off of that line. Like, bro, stop overcoaching the hell out of this team. Maybe make a good decision like taking Desharnais out for DPD, you bum. And we've seen a lot more of this Rick Tocchet sentiment bring itself up amongst the fan base lately. It's been a pretty big problem, noting just the way this guy coaches his teams and how inadequate that style has been for the Canucks this season. We get it, though. Rick Tocchet was the NHL's Coach of the Year last year, but was that the outlier year, or was that actually a sign of positive things to come? You can let me know in the comments what you think. Here's another post made by Sapster. If the Canucks give up on Elias Pettersson, it'll be the worst mistake they've made in the last 25 years, which is impressive considering Jim Benning was GM for 7 of them. I wonder what happened after the 2024 All-Star break that caused Petey and the team's offense to suddenly disappear. And linked is a stat from, I believe this is StatMuse. Elias Pettersson had 66 goals and 100 assists and a plus-minus of 32 in 129 games between October 1st, 2022 and February 1st, 2024. The replies go out there and say this: the answer is, the Canucks, ever since that All-Star break, have 2 less shots per game, a power play that went from 25% over the course of 1.5 years to one that's been at 20% for the last year, and team rush chance shooting has decreased from 25% to 17%. Stop letting a half year of success erase the 8 years of subpar coaching from Rick Tocchet. And this was met, of course, with a whole bunch of conversation as well. And then you had yourselves even more commentary here, like Chester Ming saying this: Henrik Sedin had just started breaking out at the age of 25, putting up 75 points. Previously, the highest he had had was 42. He only broke 100 points once and had his clone on his line his whole career. And y'all are so quick to give up on Elias Pettersson. Perspective really does put things in place, doesn't it? Although I do want to acknowledge this perspective. This is a really, really good point. It was a different NHL back then. Now, 18 to 25-year-olds run this league. Also, Ben won the Art Ross with like 88 points in one of those years. It's a tough comparison. Sure, but the Sedins were nowhere close to elite players until age 25 to 27. They only really got there at age 27 to 30. Elias Pettersson, of course, right now is in his 26-year-old year. So things are looking optimistic if you wanted to point towards the future and what success Canucks legends have had in the past. It's just, right now, Elias Pettersson is going through the worst slump of his career, it seems like. And we are talking all this talk about him potentially getting traded, how he was involved in the Carolina trade, how the Hurricanes ultimately rejected it and they said no. They went with Rantanen instead. The Vancouver Canucks, that they get snubbed here on both trade fronts for Miller and Petey. Again, this has been the main outlier in the NHL the past few years. When was the last time we had seen an NHL team make both of their top 2 centers available in a trade? This never happens in the National Hockey League. Until now, when Vancouver had this Miller-Pettersson beef drama thing going on, bleed into all the trade conversations. It's infected the room. Now they're trying to move on from one, if not maybe both of them. And the Carolina Hurricanes, one of the only teams that was going out there and thinking about both of them, said, sorry, we're just going to go with Rantanen instead. So I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this entire situation from Vancouver's perspective, and what are your thoughts on how it all went down. I'll leave a link in the description to the article we had read from sportsnet.ca, Elliot Friedman, and of course, our ExpressVPN affiliate link is also down there as well. Go out there and check out Express, get some free months in your VPN, save some money, and help out the channel, all in the process. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.